So just before we started construction, we discovered that the building had these beautiful precast concrete beams that created the floor structures between levels. Discovering these concrete beams was like this amazing little gem to receive, creating this beautiful imperfection. Exposed concrete's not the sort of thing you expect to have above you when you're 8 stories in the sky. It started to feel grounded. And when our client understood that as well, it just shifted this project into something that felt really special. My name's Brad Swartz, we're the architects, and this is Cabin Apartment. Elizabeth Bay is a harbourside suburb just next to Sydney CBD. It is a dense suburb, a lot of hustle and bustle. This apartment building was one of the first high-rises in Elizabeth Bay, designed by Theodore Fry, and it's this beautiful 60s design. It was named Oceana and takes its name from the sense of being on the water as if it's an ocean liner. Access to the actual apartment is by this external walkway. And I think this is partly where that idea of this ocean liner comes from. You kind of almost feel like you're on the water. Entering into the apartment, the feeling is very different. When you come straight in, there's a real sense of calmness, and you have your dining, living and kitchen in an open plan layout. And then the bedrooms, bathrooms are all set back. The apartment's about 80 square metres, which isn't small, but also isn't big. But when the apartment's a lot smaller, you really have to think about how you separate your public spaces and your private spaces. So between the living space and the main bedroom, there's a timber veneer hallway that creates this really strong transition zone. It's not that long, but it creates a strong transition zone between your living space and your sleeping space. So when we first started the project, it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment with a bunch of ornate detailing, pink curtains and the like. It's almost rolled back in fashion. It wasn't one of the original 60s fit-outs. Must have been renovated in the 70s. But from the outset, it was hard to get past the view. The client wanted to convert the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment into a 1-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment with a flexible guest room that they could also use for relaxing and listening to music. A big part of the client's brief was making the most of the space and opening up the view down to Rushcutters Bay. The client had an initial discussion with us about their time spent living in Japan. When they first moved to Japan, they lived in quite a small but beautifully considered apartment. And as their careers progressed, they ended up moving to a bigger apartment, but it just didn't have the same quality of design. And that's where they really learned to appreciate how approaches to architecture and design can be so much more fulfilling than square meterage. When we started the project, we uncovered unexpectedly that the floor slabs had been designed with these precast concrete beams, and they were really beautiful in their imperfections. And we realized that there was such a great connection between the 60s building and the wabi-sabi philosophy, and that connected the client's time spent in Japan. There's a little bit of playfulness in this apartment. The pull-down beds, sliding doors that then reveal a TV behind it, all create these multi-functions that just get a little bit more out of the space than you would otherwise have. We had a pared back material palette in this apartment, and that's very much about creating a sense of calm and letting the view take prime position. We didn't want to have our own architectural ego in what we were trying to achieve. The ceiling did so much and the view is so dominant. The project was more about what we didn't do than what we did.